turn off these NDI sources. And check, check, check.
Check, check, check.
Check, check. Say something, Francois. Give us a sound check.
How's it going, guys?
Howdy, howdy, howdy. How's everybody?
Okay, I think that's okay. We'll see if somebody can confirm that for us. All right. Okay, welcome everybody. Canhammer Podcast episode 196. Happy New Year to everybody, 2021. I'm going to start on a bit of a cynical note here. Everybody feels like the date has changed from 11:59 on December 31st to 2020 to January 1st, 2021, and that everything is going to disappear and be fine. And while I understand that the turning of the year is a source of optimism for many people, it is at the end of the day still just another date change that unfortunately does not mean you can stop isolating and doing all these things that we have to deal with right now. But
Wait, so we're not playing 40K next weekend?
with that cynical note in mind, Happy New Year, guys. I have Francois and Nick here as usual. How are you guys doing?
Doing good, doing good. Do you, so is this podcast going to be about the social construction of time? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't feel I'm qualified to talk too much about that. But
I'm qualified to talk about that.
somewhat.
I'm certainly not.
There was a suggestion that we need to talk about how the mRNA vaccines work, and I'm like, well, while I could talk about that, it's not really the remit of the podcast.
Yeah,
just
I
say,
could talk
just
about
say they
as well.
work and people should take them, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. So
That'd be one of the few things I could talk about.
we hope everybody enjoyed their break away. Life restarts tomorrow. School doesn't restart tomorrow, unfortunately, but the rest of life restarts tomorrow for many people, and we are in lockdown. And I had a good 2-week break from not doing very much, just spending time with family, not have to drive anywhere this year. Quiet Christmas and New Year on Zoom. How about you guys? What did you guys get up to?
Yeah, I feel like that's the one bright spot of the COVID holidays is I did not have to drive far and attend like 6 different holiday parties with various branches of the family. And you know what? I kind of like that.
Yeah, that's a common theme I've heard amongst lots of people.
Yeah, not having to run around all the time and leaving the holidays more exhausted than going in. No, definitely just been chilling at home, and it's been nice.
Yeah. Did you guys get any Warhammer-related merchandise for Christmas?
Not really. No.
Yeah, we're not like all that. We don't celebrate a lot of stuff here, so my wife and I actually don't get each other gifts. And my son constantly gets stuff throughout the year. But I did buy myself Magnus.
Which I was surprised that you
to...
didn't have.
Yeah. Well, the story was I needed a couple paints from Cody at the Hooded Goblin. So then a couple paints morphed into a couple more paints, couple brushes, and Magnus. Clearly, that's how that works.
I mean, to be fair, that's usually what happens to me when I walk into a hobby store looking for paint. I walk out with way more than just the pot of paint that I needed. But
yeah. And to be fair, we all probably have way more than we need already. We don't need to be given gifts of Warhammer.
Yeah, exactly.
I made the mistake today of doing an inventory of all the unpainted miniatures I own, and boy, I should not have done that.
Yeah. So the common phrase is, of course, New Year, New Army, and GW has been plastering that across their Facebook posts for the last week. So, is it, in fact, for you guys, going to be a New Year, New Army?
Yes. Well, yes and
Painted
no,
already.
because I'm always working on
Painted already, right, Francois?
and so I'm actually working on this Harlequin project that I started in the summer, but I started it in the late summer, and then COVID came back with a vengeance, and the semester started, and I had painted like 6 models and stopped, and I haven't touched the Harlequins since. But now I'm starting again, and I painted 16 troops, and so it's not fully a new year, new army because I had bought the models previously and actually started a little bit. But the bulk of this Harlequin project is going to be completed over the next 2 or 3 months.
Nice. My Harlequins are in the box.
Yeah, I painted like 4 armies last year. I got the Necrons in the book drop, so that's fairly close, and I'm like got odds and ends to finish up. Like I said, Magnus. I'm just waiting for the Thousand Sons book.
You just got to decide which army you want to play, Nick.
I want to play all of them. No, I don't know. I was like wanting to get hyped for 9, so I got the Necrons, but now I'm literally just waiting for Thousand Sons. If Thousand Sons are any good, then I'll probably just do mono Thousand Sons for the rest of the edition.
Nice, nice. Well, I was toying with the idea. So I'm still in the process of painting my bust. I actually painted the undershirt thing. So actually there's color on it now, which makes it look more interesting. And the next step is the face, and so I just need to get around to doing that. The army I was considering painting was my Gene Stealer cults, actually. But then I look at the size of the pile of dudes, and I'm like, oh my god, no, I can't do that.
That's a real horde army. There's a lot of models if you want to even half decent Gene Stealer cult army, and they're also not in a great spot right now, so it's hard to like get motivated.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, like if you do all that and it's like for nothing, it's kind of a waste. I might wait and see what the Drukhari, because I have, a decent Drukhari force, and see if I need to add anything to it or whatever. So that might be an interesting project coming up. But yeah, it's like, ugh, I can't, like, just like 250 models. I just can't do it. I just can't do it.
I don't blame you. I sold the orcs because I painted like 30 boys and some mega knobs, and I looked at the pile, just wasn't shrinking. I was like, that's it. Here, Dan. Take them all.
Dan, the recipient of all my old AOS armies. Yes. Speaking of Dan, shout out to Dan and Dylan at the Red Dragon, our main sponsors. So obviously they're affected by the lockdown. So if you do need stuff, do hit Dan and Dylan up at the Red Dragon. They do great delivery service actually during lockdown. So patron your local FLG. This is when they really need it the most. And shout out to all our followers and watchers and supporters and subscribers and patrons. And thank you, everybody, for your ongoing support. Okay, so a few announcements and updates to make before we get on to our main topic. First of all, Ontario 40K League. So before Christmas, we had just put out that we are part of the, I'm running the Ottawa division of the Ontario 40K League. This is basically just a bunch of different little mini GTs running over the course of a number of months, and then with the top 2 or 3 from each division ending up in an invitational tournament, hopefully in the summertime. And so it's a big undertaking started by like Caleb and his guys in Toronto, and so we're the Ottawa division, and I believe you guys are both in it actually, which is cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So the question always is, when are we starting? Blah, 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 COVID, blah, blah, blah. So we are planning to start in March, but obviously that will depend on COVID, and certain divisions may be able to start in certain divisions. Toronto may not be able to start, but...
Ever.
Yeah, the grand plan right now is to start in March, beginning of March. And so assuming that Ottawa is going to be okay, which I think it will be, then we will plan to start in March. And it's going to be very simple. It's going to be basically like signing up for a GT. I'm going to open an event on BCP. You can register in BCP. It's $20. And the event will be run off BCP, just spread over a period of 3 weeks per round. And according to BCP, this is very doable. So you don't have to worry about signing up on a web page or any Discord or anything like that. The Discord is there, but if you want to sign up to play, you will need to register through BCP, just like a normal GT. So should be fairly straightforward for people to at least sign up and register to play. Okay. So that's Ontario 40K League for now. You'll hear more about it. Just follow the Ontario 40K League Facebook page or the Canhammer page. We have all the updates and stuff on there. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about, and we will be talking more about this on Wednesday when we're joined by Colin Sherman from Best in Faction. Of course, this weekend or next weekend would have been Charity Hammer number 3, which I would have been going to, but unfortunately, due to obvious reasons, Charity Hammer in its traditional form cannot happen this year, which is unfortunate. But Colin wanted to still do something to raise money, and so he's doing a virtual event called Hammer Out Cancer in support of cancer research, because his own family has been touched by cancer. And so they're basically doing the same thing, just with 9 people. that are all local to him, who he trusts, and they're going to be following a whole bunch of very strict. He's even got separate meals for everybody. So he's taking it very seriously, but they're going to be playing basically like one or two streams, a 9-player kind of double elimination RTT with local players in hopes of raising some money for his charity. So we'll be talking more about that on Wednesday when Colin joins us here on the podcast, but that will be next weekend, 13th, I think, 13th, 14th, 15th of January. It, again, is going to be 24-hour nonstop 40K for the whole weekend, at least one stream the whole weekend, and oftentimes will be 2 streams, probably not overnight, but... And we may be hosting it, we may not. He may not need the extra stream power this year, but if we'll be happy to host if he needs us. And so do check that out, and you can find it on Facebook, Hammer Out Cancer Facebook page. There's an event page and a link for donation. All right, that's cool. Yeah, it's a shame. So we're thinking maybe of having Charity Hammer 3 in the summertime. It's really hard to find a weekend to do stuff in the summer, assuming that everything is going again. Including, we're hoping to run CCBB this year. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens to Charity Hammer, but for this year. But yeah. In terms of our events, obviously Can Hammer Team is not going to happen this year. It's usually kind of soon. And so obviously that's not happening. But we are still hoping to run CCBB this year in August at the usual time in Ottawa. Obviously that's going to be COVID dependent. It's still a number of months away, and Ottawa's not doing too badly, but we do like people to come from other places, and we don't know if that'll be possible or not. So we'll see. We don't have to decide right now. We usually start planning April time, so probably have to make our decision in April, but we'll see how that goes. So after all that sobering news, we can go on to our topic of choice tonight, which is to review the last year. So usually we have a show where we talk about the last year. Sometimes we go through random stuff. Sometimes we just go through highlights or event highlights. Now, this year was a interesting a year, to say the least. It is a year that hopefully none of us will ever have to live through again, and certainly none of us have ever lived through before, except maybe even STARS wasn't quite like this. It didn't shut down the entire country.
No.
Yeah. Like, it was bad. STARS was bad, but it wasn't like the whole country just shuts down and stays indoor. Like, those videos they had on YouTube of like drones flying through normally ridiculously busy cities that just like deserted? Yeah. Like, those were eerie videos.
It looked like a horror movie in March.
Yeah. It looks like those movies where like the population has been wiped and like you're on a train in the Arctic or something. So actually the year started out with most of us completely oblivious or choosing to ignore what was happening in Asia, unfortunately. And we had LVO, which was, of course, the Broviathan LVO. That seems like a long time ago, but that was...
Yeah, I was going to say, I was looking at your timeline thing there, and I'm like, wait, that was this year?
Well, I think so, right?
my brain
Yeah,
just,
Broviathan,
you're right.
I was there, and that was this
But
year.
my brain looked at the timeline and went, wait, that was this year? I thought for sure it was like much further in the past than that for some reason.
2020 has been the longest decade ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it was at the beginning, January, LVO, Broviathan, Space Marine Meta, all of that business was this last year, 2020. And then, of course, we had Charity Hammer at the beginning, which was great. There was, 30 of us there, all playing nonstop 40K, so that was great. And then everything just kind of came to a screeching halt as people suddenly realized that, in fact, this virus was going to affect the whole world. And so we had a couple of very small kind of 8-people events in the summer when it was looking pretty good. But other than that, I don't think anybody went. Did you guys go to any events? I don't think so.
Other than those RTTs we all did together.
I was registered to a ton. Like, this year was going to be the year, because my kid's a little bit older now, that I was going to actually travel further afield for events, because normally the past few years I've only been doing the local events. You can maybe go to like Brockville or something like. But I would drive up for the day, not travel for an event because I didn't want to leave the kids for a
Yeah.
weekend for that. And now 2020 was going to be my year. Like I had it all planned. I all the GTs I was going to go to. I had bought tickets to a couple. We were going to go to LVO 2021, right? But we had planned it in advance, and then all that came crashing down.
I had like literally just about.
You
I
were
wasn't
about to
far
book
from
hotel rooms.
rooms for all of
That's
us.
right.
Yeah, I was gonna book the rooms for all 6 or 8 of us or something like that. Like I was just so rearing to go. Yeah.
Yeah, that was going to be our big trip to Las Vegas. I was going to get Phil, and we were all just going to go, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it was gonna be awesome. Oh,
well,
God.
that's not happening anymore. But I forgot. We also did have Ken Hammer Team as well.
Yes.
And that was great.
That was great.
And
That was awesome.
that was like kind of the last event before the big lockdown.
That's
Where Nick Nanavati shows up in minus 30, 35 weather without a coat.
Yeah. Because what's cold?
Yeah.
I don't know what's cold. So
Florida.
that was great, and it's a shame that we couldn't have it this year, and obviously we didn't have CCPB either. But so it was not a great year for events. There obviously have been actually a surprising number of events which arguably should not have been going on. Australia, of course, are COVID-free, so they can have as many events as they want. But
Yeah.
I think that's making people make bad decisions over here in the West, and it's unfortunate. But, it is what it is. So what we're going to talk about really is we're just going to go through what came out. Because despite, I think there was, like a 3 or 4 week thing at the beginning when GW had to shut down and didn't know what to do. But then after that short period, they just started releasing everything. It was right, was it before or after the Custodes book? I think it was right before the Custodes book because we had the extra delay. And then everything just started coming out as planned a month later. So GW didn't let it break their stride too much, and they kept plowing out with things that nobody could play.
well, although for GW, that was great because everybody stuck inside in lockdown wanted to assemble models and paint models, and so they had like their best year ever.
Yeah, so they just needed to
Yeah,
figure
I
out
can
how
imagine.
to like get around all the restrictions, and then they were
Yeah,
they
they
were
had
flying.
shipping issues.
Yeah, and then they were flying. And okay, so I've got these written down by month, but the month don't quote me on the months, but basically we'll go in order. So at the time of LVO Leviathan, it was still heavy Space Marine meta, Iron Hands, all that stupid shit. And then sometime around LVO, the Sisters, I think it came out too late for LVO, right?
Well, I know Psychic Awakening, Ritual of the Damned, and I think Sisters were all like a week or 2 weeks after the cutoff. For those
Yeah,
submissions.
and also because none of the Sisters models were actually out yet. So, so in around that time was the new Sisters Codex, which of course was pretty successful, and then following on a whole bunch of new Sisters models, which was pretty cool, including apparently what was voted second most popular model of the year was the Triumph.
Triumph. Yeah, it's an awesome model.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if model is right though, because it's like 8 different models glued to a base.
yeah. And then,
But it's a good sculpt. It's good.
and then, as Nick mentioned, was Ritual of the Damned, which was 1,000 Suns, Dark Angels, and Grey Knights, which didn't make the cut for LVO. So, obviously, the Sisters Codex if we're trying to review what the impact of books were, obviously that was a huge book because that faction didn't really exist before this book and all the new kits. And now it does in a big way. Sisters is a very good army.
Mm-hmm.
And getting a new battle box. I don't know what they're going to get in that battle box, except for one new, plasma pistol girl. But, yeah. And then Ritual of the Damned. Obviously, that was pretty good for Grey Knights for a period of time, because right after Marine meta was double Paladin Hammer meta, which was spurred on by Lawrence at Tabletop Tactics, but certainly was a very popular way of playing Grey Knights.
Yeah, for the like 2 or 3 months that.
Yeah, they had a very brief time in the sun.
Yeah.
Well, it really worked well in the old ITC champion mission format. That's why they did so well.
Yeah. So this was still 8th edition. We should mention that, of course, obviously. Seems like a long time ago, but this was still 8th. ITC was, format, and so Grey Knights did well in that format. Dark Angels didn't get too much out of their Psychic Awakening book that made them any oppressive or anything like that. How about Thousand Suns, Nick? Did that book give you much there?
It was. It actually did, but it was actually a very lukewarm reception by the community. I don't know what our expectations were because I guess there was a lot of Build-A-Bear stuff going on out there, and a lot of people had new stratagems or whatever else. It was very lukewarm, but as people started to play it, it started to come into its own. And I've had actually quite a bit of success at the end of 8th with those Thousand Suns. Now they've kind of fallen behind because they're 1 wound kind of Marines now versus all 2 wounds, but
Yeah.
we'll have to see.
And and the theme throughout last year was that stuff would come out, not very many people could play it. So what was deemed good or not good was really not really proven. It couldn't be proven, and so it was really just like whatever you thought was good, maybe wasn't good. You don't know. You keep playing the same person over and over again. Of course, there's the whole tabletop simulator meta, which is its own thing because you can play whatever you want. You don't have to have the models or anything. So it was a very weird time.
It doesn't have the same choke points. It doesn't have the same rate limiting steps that real life has.
Yeah. Okay. Then the next book to come out, probably over February sometime, was the next Psychic Awakening, which was The Greater Good. And this was what I would consider maybe the least impactful Psychic Awakening book that was released out of all of them.
Well, so it was really good for Guard, but Guard is in such a bad place that it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah, like I don't remember any. Like GSC didn't go anywhere from this book. Tau certainly didn't. I mean, Tau has disappeared off the face of the earth, from what I can tell, which is cool. But yeah, like I haven't heard anyone say the word Tau in months.
Well, they also suffered a bit from that's not far off. COVID hits. So whatever we would have gotten out of that at the end of 8th, we didn't because COVID hit, right? So we weren't too sure because I know Farside Enclaves was kind of making an appearance with all the commanders and stuff like that, but it kind of disappeared because nobody played Warhammer for a long time. And then 9th hit.
I did play the Guard rules quite a bit and played a lot of Tempestus Scions as well, and they got some great stuff. The issue is that book is so old now that even if you give them that little extra, it's just not enough.
Yeah. So, one little meta that kept going throughout all this was the Art of War meta. So, Nick and Siegler and John Lennon and Mark Perry having their own little meta in Florida throughout all of this because they just shacked up together. But and so the Siegler was one of the big proponents of the enclaves and all that sort of business. But it was okay, so here's 4 really, really good players playing against each other all the time in a little echo chamber. So while it's informative, there is a little bit of bias too in terms of what they come out with as well.
Well, even good players, even the best players, they'll find a list and they'll get stuck on that kind of archetype, right? You still need the numbers to really, and the events and the conflict to really drum up what the best is.
Yeah. All right, and then next up we had Saga of the Beast, Psychic Awakening, which was Orcs and Space Wolves. And with this book, we got a number of things that were impactful for a little bit. First of all, we had the apparently best model of the year, Gazgul. And
he does look awesome.
Yeah, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, he was the first person to have this new min damage rule in 40k. I know Marathi has an AOS a long time ago, but he was the first model to have you can only do certain number per phase rule, and of course now the Satans have that as well. So that was and that was their way of kind of addressing the big model dies first syndrome.
The Bloodthirster has it as well, but that came after, did it, Nick?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it did in the next Psychic Awakening Engine War.
And again, here we're hitting peak COVID lockdown, March. This is when everything shut down.
Yeah. So that was interesting for Orcs. Otherwise, I'm not sure. Orcs got a few interesting things, and Orc players are doing well when they need to do well. But I don't think a lot of people would argue that they made out like bandits with their book. And Space Wolves, similarly, other than getting 54 attacks on Ragnar, they didn't seem to get too much to push them over the top.
I mean, they won a couple events, I think, but again, whatever events were actually happening, it's not a big.
Yeah. And in March, of course, in Custodes Land, Christopher Walken and Girlfriend was released and immediately shown to be unplayable.
For those of us who don't speak Custodes meme, who do you mean?
That's I don't even know his real name. Alea,
There we go.
Alea, and oh shit, I don't know. I can't remember his real name.
See, I know who you mean because you talk about that guy a lot.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of people listening who I'm sure are like, Christopher Walken, what's this dude talking
the guy
about?
with the reef and the looks like
A special character
like Christopher
Custodes
Walken.
that was unplayable because the rules didn't actually work.
Yeah, which was unfortunate because everybody wanted to play the Sisters HQ, but unfortunately you could not because they came as a couple. So anyway, and then there was a Space Marine update or something around this time. Maybe like is that when they?
I think that's when
Got rid of-
they changed how the doctrines worked, or one of the rounds of nerfs for Iron
Yeah.
Hands. There was something, but again, no games were actually happening, so who was paying attention?
Yeah,
Yeah, nobody really cared.
yeah. I think this is when maybe they fixed the issue of the Leviathan and. Did they take away a keyword or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was one of the round of nerfs for Iron Hands, but that may also have been when they changed something with the doctrines. Either way.
Yeah.
I think the Leviathan happened sooner than that because we didn't have them at Berry Bash in March. Or was
that's
Berry Bash in
maybe.
April? I can't remember. I think it was March, just the weekend before lockdown.
So it was March then, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Okay, then we had Engine War, Psychic Awakening. This was just Knights, Chaos Knights. I think were demons in this as well. And AdMech. And AdMech made out like bandits, a whole bunch of
Yeah,
rules,
Oh my
AdMech.
god.
and like a whole
Models?
bunch of models.
Yeah.
They had
Some
sweet
really broken
upgrade.
rules too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the horse guys, the horse, whatever they're called, literally the most broken model. The most best value model in 40k right now.
The planes also, and they the custom mechanicals. Some of them are bonkers.
Yeah, yeah. So AdMech
They did well.
that came out of Psychic Awakening really good and remains strong. Valerian is the name of that Custodes guy.
There we go. Somebody in chat
Thank
helped
you,
you out
chat.
there.
Thank you, chat. I knew it was something valorous or something. I don't know. But yeah. So and Knights and Chaos Knights got a bit of stuff. Nothing too crazy, but
Yeah, it was really
yeah,
quite
the
good.
AdMech part really just covered everything else up, and they remain good to this day for sure. And AdMech continues to be good even with true transition to 9th, and yeah, they've just got so much stuff. And then
Demons got an upgrade,
okay,
but at the time people were super disappointed because the rules were a bit uninspired other than the greater demon exalted gifts. But of course, little did we know at the time that would set up demons for 9th edition superbly. It's like a pure demon army is a beautiful army to run in 9th right now.
Especially
and
the Keeper of Secrets exalted rules. They're really good.
That and Lord of Change just really propelled the Lord of Change, the unkillable Lord of Change, to everybody's lists. So yeah, that was pretty good. A little uninspired, but still pretty good.
yeah. I think by this time we still did not know about 9th. That wasn't announced at this point, so people were just like, this book kind of sucks."
There were rumors flying around.
There's
Yeah,
always
for
rumors.
for the ITC champions in like 8th edition, it didn't really do anything for demons.
Yeah.
But for like now knowing 9th GT pack,
Yeah.
it did quite a bit for 'em.
So White Dwarf came out with rules for Death Watch, which were meh, and
underwhelming.
yeah, and of course in the White Dwarf is also super meh. And then in May, so I think this was before May was a short pause when GW was like, okay, we need to stop for a few weeks and figure things out. And so all of us Custodes players were like, no. And then Psychic Awakening, War of the Spider came out, which of course was Custodes, Death Guard, this new Fabia's Bile faction, which has literally gone nowhere. And then like all the random Imperial stuff, Assassins, Sisters of Silence, that sort of stuff.
Visitors.
Yeah. And then also there was White Dwarf rules for Harlequins, which made Harlequins
Those are awesome
super
rules.
good.
Those are really good rules.
Yeah, and Harlequins has continued to live off of those White Dwarf rules to good effect in 9th. And obviously, we don't talk too much about Custodes. We did great with our book. Death Guard got a big bump too. And
Yep.
I don't know, anyone buy the Fabius Bio model? I thought it was a stupid model.
I keep forgetting. I want to buy him just because I have Chaos, but I keep forgetting.
Yeah, it's a weird looking model.
I think he's the way to run Possess now, but I'm not super heavy on Chaos Space Marines. Other players are, so they can do that.
Yeah. Okay, and then it was in and around this time that basically pretty solid rumors were really starting to fly around about a change in edition or something big, but probably change in edition. And so then in May, June, now the last book was Pariah, which was basically introducing new Necrons, but did not have anything in it for Necrons. And this had Inquisition.
Didn't they have like one data sheet or something
Oh
similar
no,
like
didn't
that?
they have the new whatever that dude is? Which is just extra.
Srezas or Cesarez.
Oh, yeah,
Illuminor.
Xeris or
Illuminor, yeah. Who suddenly,
I think there was that one data sheet and that was it.
yeah,
So Necron players were like, that's it.
yeah, the new Illuminor.
Not knowing yet that it was going to be the first Codex of 9.
And he's like, 3 times larger than he was before. But, and
Yeah.
then Inquisitors was in this book, this new model Stern, and that Eldar guy who's walking on like the little squares.
with the
Oh, yeah,
dragon.
I won that guy as a prize at one of the PNPs. It's still in the box.
Okay, so this book wasn't particularly impressive in terms of rules or anything, but at around this time they had the big 9th edition announcement. And basically, for the next 2 to 3 months, it was just 9th edition previews, Saturday streams, articles, super amount of hype, and but nothing actually came out for a whole bunch of time.
That's true. I forgot about that. It was like the longest preview ever.
Teasing us
Yeah.
for like 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, it was like almost 3 months of just like previews. Every Saturday, 10 a.m., watch these guys talk about one rule from the new edition. And it was,
And then the internet would blow up about that one rule out of context and how overpowered or underpowered it was going to be.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was such a
Yeah,
bad time.
exactly.
I remember being actually quite angry at some of the like hot takes.
People arguing about the table size change, possible change, how it's like shifting everything, but nobody
People
cares
saying with great certainty that Melee was going to be dead, when in fact it's more alive than it's ever been.
anymore. Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, melee, you'll never use it again. Yeah.
And over that period of time, it became known then that Necrons would be the poster boy bad guys for 9th at the beginning, along with, of course, more Marines. And
Because who doesn't love
Yeah.
Marines? Marines are great.
then we started to get all the leaks about all the new Marine models that were coming out, and new data sheets, and all that sort of stuff. And I think it was October, so into 9th now. 9th was launched in August, which really would have messed up CCBB in hindsight. Big time.
Yeah, those are the worst.
Actually, it totally would have messed up WTC as well, which was also canceled. But so summer events would have been messed up anyway. So maybe it's better we didn't have those events. But and then soon after that, the Marine Codex came out, and the Necron Codex, and Marine Codex now will include supplements for Dark Angels. So they reincorporated it back into the big book, along with Death Watch, but not Grey Knights. So I never understood why they separated them out in the first place, but I feel like it's just better this way.
Yeah.
Because then we can,
We,
I
think we talked about that for like 2 hours on a podcast at the time, and the too long don't read is definitely that we agreed that made sense.
And then it was also hinted, so now it started to become obvious with these two first new codexes of 9th that things were changing. They didn't like variable damage, didn't like 3+ invulns, and a whole bunch of weapons changes swept across the Imperium, which helped a lot of people like Sisters and Custodes as well, and helped a bunch of other Imperial factions. And then new Necron models were coming out. So Silent King, the first Primarch level kind of model since Mortarion. Was he the last one? Mortarion was the last Primarch, right? Magnus was first, way back in 7th.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Then Morty. G-Man was like right before 8th launched. Yeah, Magnus.
The before time. Who remembers?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay, but the 4th Primarch level model and the first model
he's a great
to have
model.
this whatever commander, Supreme Commander or
Supreme
whatever.
Commander.
Yeah. Of which, interestingly, nobody else has gotten that so far. So,
But the Primarchs have it by default because it's Supreme Commander or Primarch.
yeah.
But presumably, when new books come out, like those kinds of big models will get that keyword. Like probably,
Oh,
yeah.
Morty's gonna have it. Demon Primarch.
Well,
And then-
he's already Primarch. I'm thinking of other models that could have it. Gazgol, I guess, for orcs.
Blood Angels book, would it be Lamarty's or
They
not
didn't
Lamarty's?
get one. They
No,
didn't
they
get
didn't
one.
get one. They didn't get
Did
one.
they
So
get their book already? That's
Yeah.
how out of touch I
Yeah,
am.
yeah, it's out.
Yeah.
I think it's basically going to be reserved for those big, massive models. So, like maybe for Tyranids, I guess the what's his name? Not the Hive Commander. God damn it, I'm blanking now. I'm
Broodlord?
looking at the model on my shelf
Oh,
right
no,
here.
the dude with the swords.
Crone.
The dude with the swords.
Yeah, the dude with the swords.
What's his name? Oh my god.
Hive Tyrant?
No.
No, the named one, the special one. Anyway,
I don't know what those bugs do. Nobody cares
it's
about
on the
Tyranids.
shelf right there. He's looking at me with a disappointed look in his eyes because I
There's
forgot his
not
name.
one decent player that plays Tyranids or anything like
But to
that.
be fair, I don't think I've played
that runs a
Tyranids
podcast.
since like 2017.
Well,
So-
what's his name down in Australia? Eric, he's been, or somebody down there's been running like triple Dimasherons and doing very good, apparently. But Swarmlord, thank you, Sean.
There
Thank
we
you,
go.
Sean.
This one.
We're not good with names tonight.
No, we're terrible.
Yeah, it's a Christmas brain.
But yeah, it's a cool concept. And to get back to our topic, the Silent King is an awesome model, and I've actually played him on the table like 3 or 4 times, and I actually really like.
Yeah. So, and is that all the Necrons models are now released, or there's still more to come? I think they're all out.
No, we're still waiting on some. We're like, they don't have the Chronomancer out.
There's a couple of those characters that are still to come, but the big ones are all out. I'm pretty
I
sure.
think most of them are out, yeah. But yeah, I think the only one that comes to mind actually is the Chronomancer, but I thought there were others that we're still waiting on. Well, I mean, other than so like a lot of the models you can only get out of the Indominus box, but you technically can't get the Indominus box now, right? Unless you buy it secondhand. So if you wanted the
There's a bunch of stores that still have copies because they did that whole like made to order batch after we skipped over that. But that was a pretty big deal when Ninth came out.
Yeah, now
and
nobody
the
cares.
Indominus box sold out immediately.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what people are complaining about. I got 3.
Same.
but the
Later.
box sold out immediately, and then because of the backlash, they did the made to order step, and then so stores were able to reorder a batch that they remade. And so if you look for the Indominus box set, there's still stores now. I know of a couple places in Ottawa that still have it.
I had zero trouble like months later acquiring 3.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. So it was so sold out, they had to like remake like made to order ones. I forgot about that. Yeah.
The online backlash was actually quite heated at the time. People accusing GW of I don't know, I don't even know what. Like GW as a company would of course want to sell as many boxes as they possibly could. They just ran into production issues due to COVID, and they misjudged the demand because the demand exploded again, partly due to COVID. GW had their best year ever, and so the box just sold out. Really,
Well,
rage.
they were accusing GW of doing the old like not letting people into the club to make a longer lineup to make it seem more popular, sort of thing, maybe.
yeah.
But they didn't need to do that, to be honest.
No, that's the thing. Like, it never made sense. That argument never made sense because if GW had anticipated that they could sell that many, they would have made more.
Yeah.
GW is wiping their tears with all the money right now.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know if you looked at their stock prices recently, but I certainly wish I had bought some.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Instead
exactly.
of buying all this plastic, I could have bought GW stock and be so
How do they
rich.
sleep at night on a bed of money?
Yeah. So it's a bit disappointing, though. 3 months down the line, we still don't have every model out, but that's the way it is, I guess. And the other thing to note with these 2 new codexes is this new trend, which a few books had in 8th, and nobody ever used them except for maybe the Nurgle tree. But armies coming with a piece of terrain or a building or something. So the Marines got that stupid bunker, which I have yet to see in person, but of course nobody's been playing.
I mean, it's ugly and the rules are bad, so you're not going to see it.
And then the Necrons got those pylons, like slowly degenerating pylons, and
the rules are also,
which I think also bad. And then there's also the issue
the models do
that the tables are smaller. There's a high terrain density, and then there's maybe rules preventing you from actually placing your terrain.
Well, because they have to be 3 inches away from terrain.
Yeah.
And if some of them are big, then they'll always be kind of interacting with terrain.
The most egregious one is the Sisters Basilica or whatever it's called.
Which
it's
is like a castle.
Huge piece of terrain, and so it will never fit on any table because it's just physically can't.
So, which is really hilarious. But like other than that, there's the Nurgle tree. Gene Stealers have like some kind of drill, I think. The Orcs have like a garage or something, but nobody's ever used any of those things.
Knights have like a thing where you can park a knight and like reload the Shieldbreaker missiles or something silly. Like again, no one uses it because it's terrible. These are pieces of terrain that people should buy to put on the table as terrain, but not to make work with.
Or
on your display board.
It's like I have a Fortress of Redemption here. I don't know if you guys know what the Fortress of Redemption is. It's absolutely massive. It's like 2.5 feet long, like 1.5 foot tall, and it actually has rules. Few people know that because they think it's just a piece of terrain that GW sells. No, it has rules. You can put troops inside, and it's got missiles that automatically shoot at the closest target. Yeah. The rules are absolutely awful, but it has them.
Yeah, and
but again, there's no way you could put that on the table.
With Ninth, they had a chance to redo all the fortification and buildings rules, but it just seems like they couldn't be bothered, and probably for the best, to be honest.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So that was interesting, and we'll see if that continues. Death Guard are getting some like furnace, like plague furnace or something. And so we know that. So we'll see what happens. And then ongoing throughout all this, of course, new Marine releases all the time. They got new Primera. Almost every slot now is fully Primera-sized. So Eradicators obviously was the big one. But they got the new bikers. Then they got those stupid little ATVs. Then
you loved those when I played the game against you a couple of weeks ago, didn't you?
And then they're going to be getting new speeders. They got their new tanks, the Predator tanks and stuff like that. And I
think the tanks are
a whole new line,
but the speeders are not, and the heavy intercessors are not, and we still don't have the multi-part kit for the Eradicators. I don't think. So there's still quite a bit of stuff that's not out from Marines.
Ongoing Marine releases for the next year. But, and then the real question is, on my mind, when will they finally squat the little guys? Because for a while there, running devs with Grav was actually good in a pod. And so you started to see all these little Marines popping up again. But now you don't really need to do that because you got Eradicators. So it's like, when are they going to finally bite the bullet and squat those little guys?
Well, they actually made them kind of good again by giving them that second wound, and some are still very good. Like I'm not buying any because I want to keep my army all Primaris just for the look. And anyway, I have my fluff bunny reasons for that. But for White Scars, my competitive army, Vanguard vets with Lightning Claws are actually a really good choice.
Yeah,
they're very competitive, and so I don't. You know what? It looked for a while like mini Marines might go away. Now I'm not so sure. Now I think that they're going to keep them.
Well, the question is, it will push them further if they make the Primaris good for those other factions. So I don't know about the Blood Angels book. I have not read it, quite frankly. But they made Primaris versions.
Sanguinary Guards are bonkers.
Yeah.
And Death Companies are still good. And those are very good, in fact. And those are mini Marine variety. Like if you look at a Sanguinary Guard, they were great models back in the day. But they look pretty dated now. I don't think they look good at all.
They're like little baby custodies.
Rules-wise, though, Sanguinary Guards are no joke.
Well, that's the problem, right? So they keep releasing this book, and it makes the little guys better than the new guys, even though they make new guy versions of it. And so then people go back to the old guys, right? So
and part of the issue, too, is that the old Marines have all these customization options that the new guys don't. Like Outriders. So because I have White Scars, I'm kind of drawn to bikers for fluff reasons, and so I have like 9 Outriders. Outriders are great and all, but they come in threes, and they can't take special weapons or close combat weapons. Meanwhile, the regular bikers can. So you're actually incentivized to taking old Marine bikers because they are objectively better than Outriders, despite the
Tragic.
fact that it is tragic. Thank you.
You guys heard it here first. Marines are lacking the adaptability that they need.
Yeah,
Correct.
totally.
Yeah.
And so the same thing's going to happen with Dark Angels because they're still going to want their Deathwing, which is all old, quite frankly, ugly-looking ass Terminators, and they're still going to want Ravenwing, which for the moment is still a lot of old bikers, although they weren't too bad looking, but like they're looking old now compared to the new stuff, right? And they look small on the table, like they look really dinky.
And some of the best models for Dark Angels are, and I don't know if they'll stay that way, but they have lots of great special characters like Azrael, Ezekiel, and all those demon names because they're chaos. All those characters are like 25 years old. Like I used to own the metal Azrael.
I still do.
Back in 1994, and it's the same model that's still sold today.
And I mean, the fact that they released a new Lazarus guy instead of just making Primaire Azrael cross the Rubicon, like that disappointed a lot of people.
Missed opportunity.
But again, so Dark Angel is going to be another example where people would want to play the older models and not the new stuff because the older models is all the new rules anyway. And now 2 wounds, so I don't know. And Deathwatch, right? Like, why wouldn't you run the little guys? It's just like same stuff.
Well, their kill teams, their Primaris kill teams are kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think legally you could bring like dozens of Eradicators just because of the way the kill teams work.
Yeah.
They break the rule of 3 real hard with those things.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Those poor Marines out there, though. Poor Marine players just don't have enough options. It's awful.
I'm glad you understand my suffering.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Okay, and so the next thing to come out, and the last thing to come out for the no, not the last thing. So the next thing to come out was, of course, long awaited by us Custodes players, but by a lot of people, the Forge World update, which melded 4 separate books, cut a whole bunch of shit out into one book, and written by GW. So this was a landmark turning point in the GW Forge World relationship. And GW finally, after experimenting with Custodes, we were the guinea pig for GW writing Forge World rules, basically, finally decided to, okay, that enough is enough. You guys can't write rules. Your models are cool, although slightly overpriced, but we need to write your rules if we want to stop hearing about all this Forge World shit and having to patch things up after you guys fuck it up, basically.
And in the process, there was the squatting.
Yes.
There's the squatting you were looking for.
So they cut
lots of models.
A whole bunch of models, rules that did not have models, number 1, which was great.
Yeah.
Although
that just makes sense.
Yeah, and then they cut down just a whole bunch of stuff. Some people took it hard, like Death Riders of Krieg, or I think they just basically disappeared. But again,
yeah, all 4 people that played them
I know.
really hard.
To be fair, Krieg still exists. The rules in the new book are not great. The issue with Krieg is I keep wanting to buy Krieg models to play as regular guardsmen because the Krieg rules themselves are pants because they're absolutely awesome sculpts. The issue is I need to like remortgage my house to buy like 100 Krieg's guardsmen.
They should just Cadia Krieg.
Yeah.
Just blow up Krieg too.
Yeah.
Cadia stands.
Yeah, they just can't. So I'm glad that they did that and they got rid of a whole bunch of shit that they needed to get rid of. I've not heard anything about Forge World rules being crazy since this book came out. So I think mission accomplished. Even WTC voted in Forge World for this year if it happens, which is a momentous moment for Forge World supporters.
For people who like to play Venatari.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Well, that like they can triple the Custodes line now.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was like... Actually, a lot of people underplayed it, but it was a big deal, this book, because before that, Forge World was a mess. And, now it's just like another book, basically, of like
Yeah, I'm way more on board now that it's one book and not like 4 or 5 or whatever it is.
And most of the models now fall into the okay, not really great, but not really bad kind of range, which for Forge World I think is where they should be. Like there's a bunch of stuff like just to use a Space Marine example because that's what I know best, the Astrea Super Heavy tank, the Primaris Super Heavy tank. It was absolutely awful But now they've retweaked the rules. They gave it void shields. They reworked the way that void shields work, and it's still not good. Like I wouldn't put it in a competitive list, but you could totally play it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my secret ambition of being able to use the Mastodon again did not get realized.
No, no. So some stuff stayed bad. Like some of the knight rules, I think that was a missed opportunity. The Forge World Knights are some of the best models. Like I like the look of the Forge World Knights better than the plastic kits, by quite a big margin, personally. But again, the rules are just kind of not quite there. So why would you play a Forge World Knight when you can play a regular Knight and it's more points efficient?
Yeah.
Like there's some hedge cases here and there where the Forge World Knights you could argue for them, but
And very much more efficient for your wallet.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
Because the Forge World Knights, they are not cheap.
They're not cheap, and
I own 3.
they're quite spindly too, like taller and spindly. You know.
Yeah, and some of them have like there's one that's I forget the name now, but he has a very long sword, and of course that being resin, it's always bent.
Yeah.
Archron or
Yeah, they are Archeron or
Artron,
something like that.
who
Acheron.
cares? Acheron maybe. Hashtag squat Forge World.
Okay, and then finally before Christmas, we had the Blood Angel supplement, which I've not heard much about, to be honest. And although I hear Blood Angels is good, and Death Guard was supposed to come out, but then got delayed for not
That broke my
super clear reasons, but probably
Supply issues, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Probably the books got stuck on the ship on the way from China or something.
Yeah, so Death Guard we would expect probably sometime in January, and then we don't really know what's next. Drukari and Sisters box coming out, which is just models.
So we know the next book is Drukari, and after that it's less obvious.
Yeah, Drukari.
Drukari, another race that can be squatted.
Yeah.
You're just making friends tonight, Nick.
Well, people were upset with the new Lilith model. It basically kind of just looks like a daughter of Cain.
Nerds
okay, so I don't. Let me just say that I don't agree with this argument first off the bat. But the thing that people are saying is that apparently the lore, the background of this character, is that she's supposed to be like a super graceful arena dancer that's never been like touched by a blade or whatever, and the new model is too muscular for some people. I think those people are, I don't know,
incels.
Thank you. I wasn't gonna say that, but like, if you're looking at your model and your reason for disliking it is it's not appealing enough to the eye for you in that particular way, I don't know.
I can't sexually objectify this model. This is a problem.
Well, don't worry.
That's definitely the vibe I got from people.
Don't worry, because there's a whole new range of models coming out for Hedon Knights of Slanesh in AOS that those people can buy. Including this big fat guy riding a...
Fat guy on the palanquin, yeah.
There you go. So you guys can order those models, throw your hand cream in with the shipment, and you're ready to go.
Yeah, this big fat guy model is pretty funny. It's like a Jabba model. They should just make a Jabba model.
Hey, man, that works for some people.
Yeah.
Power to them.
So Death Guard, and then apparently Dark Angels was supposed to be sometime in the new year. They probably want to get all the Marines out of the way before moving on. So,
Dark Angels are the last one.
Space
remaining,
Wolves
right?
probably will be in there.
Oh, Space.
Death Watch. I don't know.
Isn't Death Watch out?
No, I don't think so. They didn't get a supplement yet.
Yeah.
Death Watch? Yeah, that's the one with all the kill teams, no?
Yeah.
Did they?
Unless that was in the actual Marine book, but
Yeah, hold on. Let me have a
don't
look.
think
I thought
so.
they got
I
released.
thought they did.
Oh, really? I don't have that book. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, it's on here on the site. I'm on the site. They have a Codex Death Watch. It looks like the Ninth Edge style. It doesn't look like they have Blood Angels. Are we sure Blood Angels is
Oh,
out?
yeah, I have Blood Angels right there.
Yeah, the Blood Angels is out because I've seen people
It's not
playing
Codex
Battle Force
Death
with the new
Watch. It's
book.
Codex Supplement Death Watch you need.
Yeah, there's you go on their site. There's a Codex Supplement Death Watch, $35.
Oh, Space Wolves is out too. Oh, I'm behind the times here, man.
Yeah, I thought
Oh, no,
so.
I got Space Wolves. I got
you were
Space Wolves.
contradicting me.
Yeah, I got Space
I
Wolves.
told you.
I haven't looked at Warhammer in like 6 weeks.
Yeah, I was like,
so
I'm
have no
pretty sure
idea.
Dark Angels are the only one remaining, and then you made me doubt myself.
Okay, no, I got Space Wolves. I just missing Death Watch. Oh, I'll have to hit Dan up for that. Okay, so yeah, Dark Angel's the only one left. Okay, and then the rest of the world can get their books, and we don't know what's coming up. There was so on FLG, Sean Morgan wrote a tongue-in-cheek, slightly less not very obvious quote unquote editorial about what's coming out this year and when. And some people took this as gospel, forgetting that this was Sean Morgan and there was obvious discrepancies in what he was writing. So obviously, people, if you do read that article, it is not real. Not real. It's just
What do you mean? It's on the internet, so it has to
Sean
be
Morgan
true.
taking the piss.
I fell prey to it. It was like FLG link. Like it was just said something about their lineup, so I click it. I roll down all the case ends. Oh, coming out in whatever February. I was like, oh, perfect. I didn't read anything else. I was like, so I got on the chat. Hey guys, case ends coming out. Where'd you get that info? What do you mean? Oh,
Yeah. So no, that was definitely not a thing. All right, and so that takes us into 2021. I hope we have a lot to look forward to. We definitely have releases to look forward to anyway. In terms of playing, I'm hoping that our lockdown here will end in the next couple of weeks and we can start to play games again, just with my trusted opponents. And then, as I say, probably the next big event for us will be CCBB. That's not till the summer. And hopefully we can start the league in March as well. So a few things to look forward to. Continue to hobby. And, how about you guys? What are you guys looking forward to this year?
I'm looking forward to getting my COVID vaccine. Yeah, definitely. If Warhammer wise, I definitely miss events. It's the kind of thing that I look forward to, and it's a nice mental break to go and have fun with your friends and play Warhammer. And not having that makes me realize just how important it is to me, because I miss it so much. It's kind of this. Maybe it sounds silly, like I really miss going to play Warhammer for a day or a weekend with my friends, and the fact that I'm not able to do it right now, it's so sad. So I'm looking forward to as many tournaments as I can possibly cram into my schedule in 2021 as soon as we're able to.
yeah, no, I get it. 100% on board. Like you said earlier, like 2020 was going to be your year. Like, say, man, we did so well at Can Hammer Teen Tournament. I went to Berry Bash, got sick. So I was like, yes, this year's set up for me. I'm just going to, kill all these tournaments, going to do super well. And then they all kind of just stopped. And like you said, I realized how important, like, just being able to get away for a weekend, because it's not only just playing the Warhammer, it's like seeing all your friends. It's going out like afterwards to dinners and chatting, shooting the shit, catching up, and all that. So I miss that. And that's the biggest thing I look forward to, actually.
And the TTS doesn't scratch that itch for sure, right?
No, I tried to get into TTS so hard, and it just doesn't do it for me. I gave up on it. I just can't. It's not.
Yeah, I played 1 or 2 games on TTS, and some people are super dedicated and can do it, but yeah, it's not giving me what I get out of Warhammer normally.
If I'm going to play something on my computer, I'm going to play a better game than Warhammer.
So, did you guys have hobby goals that you set last year? If you remember?
Not per se, but I will say that I had a very productive painting year because I painted a literal ton of Space Marines. I painted a full Necron army. I painted a lot of stuff this year. I painted a lot of guardsmen as well. I painted a whole Talarn detachment for fun. So I had a good productive hobby year, at least.
Yeah. How about you, Nick? Did you have goals? Did you set yourself goals, or?
I don't think I set any goals. I just kind of trucked along, and I painted a decent-sized Sylvaneth army.
That was your goal, to finish that.
Yeah, that was my goal, to finish that. I painted a Grey Knights army, so that one I want to be actually like a ton of effort in with, I made the bases out of green stuff and whatever. I'm really happy with that Grey Knight army. I painted a bunch of Death Guard and Thousand Suns stuff to add to, and Demon stuff to add to those collections. And I'm about, say, 70% done a Necrons army. So pretty decent,
pretty good
haul of stuff I got accomplished.
Pretty good. Yeah, so I, if you guys remember, probably not, but I set myself the goal of expanding my painting horizons. I was getting into new techniques, new paints other than GW paints, and I got myself a bust, and the goal was to start painting the bust. I'll blame some delivery issues. I did not even get my bust or the paints till the summertime, but then the rest is on me. I did not actually touch the bust until many months later. Quite frankly, just intimidated to paint it. But despite that, though, I think I have made a lot of hobby progress in terms of just exploring new ways of painting, not just kind of base, highlight, wash. Really looking at models differently rather than just looking for edges to put a line on. And trying to paint more realistic and trying to work through this bust, which obviously is not a GW model. So I think that's been cool, and maybe that's why I have no motivation to paint like GW models right now, because it's just like I kind of want to keep going with this kind of other style of painting for now. I don't know. I did throw in a few random Custodes units here and there when rules were changing, and but I literally spent so little time on those things, like it's embarrassing sometimes. But yeah, so I think I did at least partly accomplish my hobby goal last year, which was with lockdown to expand my painting horizons, which I definitely did. So that's cool. Okay, so we asked people for top 3 40K related things of 2020, and maybe like one least favorite thing. So you guys got anything on that? You don't have to give 3. If you want to give just your top 1 or.
Well, my top 3 we're all events actually. That's LVO 2020 was a lot of fun. Definitely. When I got back, that's when I got on the messenger and messaged everybody like, guys, like, let's do this. And we all kind of were rearing to go. Canhammer team tournament still is my favorite tournament to go to every year because of the build up to it and the team aspect, blah, blah, blah. And then Berry Bash. So those were because it was a short year for Warhammer. Those were my top 3. Kind of low moment was the kind of Space Marine problems that persisted throughout the ITC season and bled a little bit into the following one, but those got resolved, and I think balance is going to improve in the future for sure.
Okay, Francois?
Well, my number 1 is definitely the Canhammer team tournament weekend. That was really a good time. Not only was it super fun and had like a bunch of great games, but also my team placed much higher than I expected. I'm going to be honest. Like I told my team in the beginning, like let's try for like middle. Like if we're in the top half, I'll be happy. And I think we ended up like 4th or something. So that was really cool. And the team format is something that I definitely love. I think I like it better. Actually, I do like it better. I'm not even going to qualify that. I like it better than the singles format. The issue is it's much harder to organize, so you don't get to do it as often. So that would be my number 1. And other than that, well, 9th edition coming out is really great. I'm actually super happy with 9th edition. So I'm going to say that. As far as low points, it's a bit obvious and on the nose, but COVID canceling my season is my low point for Warhammer. Because like I said, I had all these events lined up. I bought tickets to a bunch of them, and then they didn't happen.
Yeah. So for me, my top 3 in no particular order. So Charity Hammer was amazing. And despite sleeping maybe a grand total of 6 hours the whole weekend, it was just great to play 40K and just to watch 40K at such a high level continuously in a house with so many people. But it was great. And it's really too bad that we couldn't do it this year, but it shall return. Second and third, kind of very closely related and have to go hand in hand for full effect, is obviously the Custodes book, taking us from hanging out with 30 Storm Shields and trying to survive to being a viable faction with many different ways to play, many different units to use, constant list changes because everything is kind of have its own thing. And hand in hand with that, obviously, to make it all work, is 9th edition, because obviously it was designed for 9th because we don't even have the CP to use half the stuff we got in the book in 8th. So the combination of the new book and the new edition has really revitalized my favorite faction and made it super fun to play, and where you don't feel like you're just trying to hang on and not die. It's not fun to play when all you're trying to do is not die. So that's definitely been the best things. Obviously, one of the worst things is COVID for many reasons, not just 40K, but It's affected everybody's lives in many different ways. But for me, 40KY specifically, I really actually missed not running CCBB. Not having to plan it was nice. But then that weekend, when it was supposed to be, I was doing something completely unrelated. And then at one point, halfway through that Saturday morning, I was like, I'm supposed to be running CCBB at this time. And so that really hit home for about 5 minutes where I was like, that really sucks. Like, really sucks that we didn't get to do CCBB. But hopefully it'll be back again next year, and people will be super hungry, and we'll get a big event going. So, yeah. Okay. People got comments, questions on the chat. Please post them in. Some people did list their top 3 here. I'll just go through them quickly. So Sean Stryker said 9th edition, number 1, good thing. Obviously the Custodes book and the Forge World Compendium. And worst thing, CCBB being canceled. The GW app.
Oh yeah,
we could do a whole show.
We didn't even mention that.
Honestly, I kind of forgot about it.
Same. We didn't even mention how disastrous that release was.
So I will say that. Okay, 2 things about the app. The army builder, other than the fact that you have to go back after and assign all your traits instead of doing it when you pick the character, the army builder itself is quite good. And for some reason, I'm still...
You have to assign a gun to every single model. So you have 20 Necron warriors, and you want to change their guns to flayers, you have to do it one by one.
Yeah, well, you had to do that for Battle Scribe too. So, but...
No, you don't.
Battle Scribe, you can just choose the guys with flares and
you just
type
tick
in.
a box.
Oh,
and
okay,
they'll
because they
switch.
okay. So I mean, it's not perfect, but I found that is actually not too bad. And then, like when people have been posting their list on GW community page, and it comes out, looks really nice with like a background and everything. Like if that is eventually the way we can get our list to look very easily, that would be pretty sweet for us TOs trying to deal with freaking lists and shit like that.
I think part of the problem part of the disappointment comes from the fact that we can all see tremendous potential in that app.
And it just sucks.
I can see how it would be awesome and make my gaming life so much easier. The problem is it's a buggy mess.
Yeah.
So it's like this unrealized promise that's really pissing me off. If I didn't expect much and didn't get much, I wouldn't care. But I hoped for a lot and I didn't get anything.
That's the problem, right? Like just not delivering and just charging some people, and yeah. So okay, so next top 3 things. So 9th edition, Black Templars being competitive. Have you guys encountered any Black Templars action?
They're competitive-ish. Yeah.
Okay, and a whole bunch of new Necron models. Yes, they are good. Worst things, Canadian turn-ins being canceled. Yep. GW app. Yep. Yep. So same things. Here we have top things. TTS. I guess that is top. I mean, TTS 40K was nowhere before COVID, and now it's quite popular. So that is a plus, I guess.
Yeah, and some people do enjoy it, and good for those people. Like I wanted to enjoy it. I just couldn't personally, but I could see how people would, find it a good relief from the lack of 40K.
And it's a way for people to play even under normal circumstances where they may not have too many opponents nearby, or they have to drive 2 hours like Nick to find someone to play. Or
we are kind of spoiled here. We have a massive local scene. For the size of our city, our local scene is completely incredible.
Also allows you to play stupid shit that you would never buy.
True.
There's that. Forge World brought in line, and new Sisters models, by which it means Sisters of Battle probably. And the Sisters line is nice. And it's good.
If anything, they may be too nice because they're so intricate that I think that the models are scaring people away from painting them. I don't know if you've looked at them really up close, but the amount of detail on those sculpts is really something else.
Oh, just like the Death Guard. I love Death Guard, but man, there's tentacles.
But at least Death Guard, you could just slap Typhus Corrosion on and call it good.
Yeah, man.
Maybe.
Airbrush it.
Oh, you definitely can't well, I guess you can airbrush Death Guard, but if you want those details, you're putting in the hours, that's for sure.
And worst thing, Forge World Compendium Gutting Guard.
So some of the good Forge World options for guard did get worse. Punisher Vultures, one that comes to mind. Um, yeah, it's a mixed bag for guard for sure.
Yeah, triple vultures plays crying.
Uh, I mean, I have my triple vultures right there. I played them against you a few times, Darren. You remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah, that's right. Okay. Anything else to say, guys, in your requiem to 2020?
Good riddance.
So long. Thanks for all the fish.
Fish. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining me. This week we have on Tuesday, so not tomorrow night, the night after, I'm doing a Tactica year in review for Custodes, as well as if you wanted to start a new army and are looking at Custodes, what can we offer you and how to get started? So that's actually a very common question I get asked, and people wander into the Discord all the time. Oh, I'm new, what do I do? So hopefully that'll be a useful Tactica right at the beginning of the year.
The whole show is going to be buy 3 boxes of Terminators.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about
and order
Yeah,
some
sneak
Venetari
peek.
from Forge World.
Yeah, buy Alaris and Venetari.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we're going to talk about that on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday night, as I mentioned, Colin's joining us from Best in Faction. And I can't remember if you guys are joining us or not, but we're going to talk about Hammer Out Charity, Hammer Out Cancer event. And we're also going to talk about 9th edition now, 6 months in, what we think about it, where it's going, our experiences, and where we hope it goes. And so a nice topic to break out at the beginning of the year. So, and we could even revisit that at the end of the year with some clips and see if maybe make some predictions. I don't know. So we'll be.
Well, I can already say that we made some predictions when Knife came out, and some of those predictions are already wrong.
Okay, so that'll be on Wednesday, and that's it. So thanks for joining me, guys. Happy New Year
Always
to
fun.
everybody. Stay safe, and we will see everybody in a couple of nights. Okay? Good night.
Cheers.
Take care.